Hello and welcome to TSK F1. My name's Rich and this is your daily dose of Formula One news. Today we're going to be talking about Mick Schumacher and would he have been treated the same if Michael Schumacher was stood next to him in the paddock. Also stuff to do with crashgate, that result years and years ago in Singapore. Felipe Massa's talking about taking legal action against it, and also teams have said yes to a second qualifying session. So we're gonna delve into that a little bit. Please do make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel down below. But first of all, Mick Schumacher, just a little bit of news. Well, news. It's really a conversation piece that Ralf Schumacher has said that if Michael Schumacher was at the track with Mick, that Gunther Steiner would have treated him better. And I'd love to know your opinion on this. Do you think it would have changed? I'm not saying how, like, maybe he got dropped, but do you think Steiner would have treated? Do you think generally the thoughts around him would have been better? I've no doubt that if Michael Schumacher were able to, he would be around the grid much the same way Jos Verstappen and Anthony Hamilton are for their kids, and Checo Perez's dad. Do you think he would have got treated any differently? Ralf Schumacher and Toto Wolff think that he would have. Ralf Schumacher has been vocal in his criticism of Steiner's handling of his nephew, claimed that he would never have happened if Michael had been present. I believe, and this is what bothers me the most, if my brother had been there, Gunther Steiner would have behaved differently. I just think Michael's presence would have been enough, but again, everyone does want what they want. And then Toto Wolff said, I can only say that his parents did nothing wrong bringing him up. And I claim that if Michael had accompanied his son during the 2 harsh years, Steiner would not have dared treat Mick like that. Now, it could well have ended the same way. I'm not disputing that, but maybe Haas would have treated it better. Was Ralph there much? I think Ralph was dealing with his own son, mate. Is his uncle. It's not his son. I think he was dealing with his own son. He's got a son that races, hasn't he? So yeah, it's just a little bit of news that I thought I'd bring to you guys. See if any of you had an opinion on that. I think it might have been a little bit different, but I think the end result would have been the same, but I don't think it would have been so openly criticised. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. I think we're going to get on to the main news story very, very quick, aren't we, today? I did just want to bring you this, though, because this is actually the first I've seen of it. It's fine if it's new news. Clearly Mick's dad couldn't be there. Why couldn't Ralph fill in a little more? Because Ralph was with his son, Josh. That's how it works when you're a parent, mate. You're with your kid. Or he was commentating and things. You know, it's not his lad. It's his uncle and he's defending him. Right then. It hasn't come out of nowhere, but we'll talk about that. So, secondly, this is a little story that I've spotted this morning that I'd not seen this, but I was very busy over the race weekend, that Stefano Domenicali has said about replacing one of the practice sessions with a qualifying sorry, I keep reading, half reading chat. Stefano Domenicali wants to replace one of the practice sessions with a qualifying session. And he says, of course, the drivers need time to practice, but the people in the stands come to see power and performance. The more often you give the teams and drivers the chance to show who they are, the better the show is. Together with the drivers and teams, we're thinking about what could be the best plan for that. And they're basically on about a second qualifying session. Now, I can't help it. I can't help it. We've already done this, Mr. Dominicali. We've already had multiple qualifying sessions in a race weekend, and we got rid of them. I know I'm old, and I know but we've already done this. We've already been down this road. It didn't work. It didn't work. I'm getting really, really angry with this, because in the 2000s we had all kinds of different qualifying formats, but even back in the 90s, I'm sure it was early 90s, there were multiple qualifying sessions. And yeah, I'm pretty sure, right? Now, where I think this is coming from, I'm not exactly sure on the format off the top of my head, right? And maybe someone in chat can correct me on this, right? See, Spike, I didn't mind that for a pressure thing. I don't think it worked, but I didn't mind it as an idea, the 1 car, 1 lap, because of the pressure that was on. Do you know what I mean? I didn't mind it for that, but it's better now. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it was the worst idea to try, but I prefer it as it is. But anyway, where I think this is coming from, and this is just a bit of a theory, is that Stefano Domenicali has ties to one of the MotoGP teams, and I think is it Pramac? I'm not sure, but one of the teams has got a Formula One logo on the fairing above the rear wheel. And Dominicale has links with them. And we've also seen MotoGP adopt a sprint race format. Not that I've watched it yet, but I've seen quite a few people not liking it. And I think what Dominicale is on about is taking a MotoGP style of qualifying, because I feel quite sure they have multiple qualifying sessions. I could be wrong, but I thought they did. Or at least in practice, you have to set a time, and that gets you straight through to qualifying 2 or something. I'm not entirely sure of the actual format. And he was at, I want to say he was at, was it the Algarve round, the Portimao round of MotoGP, and also flew the checkered flag as well. And I think he's been talking to MotoGP bosses, and they've been spitballing ideas, and I think he's come back like, this is a really good idea, we should do this. When really, he's been around long enough that he knows it's been done, and I wish they'd just leave it alone. And I'm going to make the point again, right? I'm going to make the point again. They're trying... I think this is a thing that's been missed, but they're trying to appease fans that won't be fans in 5 years, for one, right? And also, they're already fans. If they're watching now, the product is fine. And I think that is what's being lost. That it's like, we've got all these new people. These new people are saying this. And we must appease them. Like, this isn't, to me, this isn't about fans at the track. Despite what he's saying there, I don't think that is what it is, personally. Now, could you do it? Well, I don't know how you could do it, but I'm really getting fed up of almost daily. Formula One are going to do this to the format of this. Formula One are going to do this to the format of this. I think the format, having lived through all those different formats I'm sure it was the 2000s, right? That this is the best format. For the longest time growing up, it was 1 hour, 12 laps, I think it was. 1 hour and 12 laps. And they need to stop. They need to just stop and just take a minute. Honestly, it's a good job. Well, I'd have been sacked. If I was involved, I'd have been sacked by now because I'd be bollocking him. I would be bollocking him. Like, what are you on about? And I'd slap him. And then I'd get sacked. But just leave it alone. Leave it alone. And then let's look sensibly at things. You know, and I'm not gatekeeping the sport, but I am very, very, very proud I'm very, very proud of Formula One and that it's my sport of choice. I like a bit of football, I like a bit of rugby, I like a bit of MotoGP, but F1 is my sport, and I feel like I'm seeing it degrade into just a very simplified, dumbed down version of itself, and I don't like it. It's sad to me. It's sad to me. What's your thought on one-shot qualifying? We used to have it. I don't know if you know CBP. That's what I was just talking about. I didn't mind it, but it honestly, this format of qualifying is much better, in my opinion, CPB. This format of qualifying is much better. They used to have it where it was literally one car after the next. You watch the hot lap. I liked it because I understood the pressure the drivers were under. They had to deliver in that one lap. But I think the thought of it had more drama than the reality of it, because these are elite drivers and mistakes were few and far between. Do you know what I mean? So the drivers just tended to deliver about where they should deliver, and that's why it got dropped, because it didn't deliver a Schumacher messing up his lap or Mika Hakkinen messing up his lap. It didn't deliver that. The drivers, by and large, delivered exactly what you'd expect them to. So I think on that basis, they dropped it, and then we went through quite a few different iterations of qualifying and ended up where we've ended up. And actually, I think it's for some reason, these people, even though they've been involved in Formula One probably longer than I've been alive, they seem to have forgotten all of that work they did 20 years ago to go, that doesn't work, this is pretty good, that's all right, we'll go with this one, you know? And it's really confusing me, unless it's literally to change for the sake of it, to drum up interest. You know, and I think that is the only thing. Oh, have you heard? Formula One's changed, just to get people in for like 2 races to have a watch. But to me, I can't. That's horrifically short-sighted. Though I can see a modern corporation doing such a thing, because on that day, in that time, they got that viewer number, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter the long term. We can just change the qualifying again next season. And this is what I'm falling out of love with this nonsense with Formula One. A Grand Prix is a Grand Prix. Stop with the red flags. Safety car finishes have always been okay, and we ended up with one anyway, so stop being stupid. It ended under safety car anyway. We've had it so many times. A Grand Prix isn't a one-lap shootout. Stop it. Qualifying, the format's great, it produces drama, and we genuinely do get big names drop out of it every so often to create randomness. We don't need more sprint races, because they're just a correction of qualifying mistakes anyway. All the drama that's ever been in a sprint race could have been in the main race, but we've just instead made a boring main race in order to have an exciting sprint race, which has only happened in a couple of the sprint races, because normally the sprint races are just as processional, if not more so, because drivers won't take risks, because if they have a little dink, then they've destroyed the front wing, and then they've cost the team money, and so on and so forth. Like, all these changes are stupid. They're stupid. And I'm yet to meet anyone who has given me any reason why, like, sprint races and things like that and red flags are good, because you've seen now what happens with the red flag situation. The sprint races, you can say you like them as much as you want, but you only like them because of the action that's been taken away from the feature race. Take away the sprint race, that action would have been in the main feature race. Like, The sprint race you only like because it has the action that was going to be in the Grand Prix anyway. So you'd have liked the Grand Prix, but people don't, for some reason, can't see that. Can't see that. It's maddening. And the only person I've had was one saying Imola, and I think it was Leclerc versus Max in a sprint race. So we've had one battle. The rest of them you can put down to basically qualifying corrections. And I won't be swayed. I will not be swayed on it. People can have an opinion and stuff on them, and that's fine. But it's the slow degrading of the sport which is just enraging me quite a lot, because as soon as I start going off on one, as I just have. It's because I'm so passionate about it. But let's get on to the main news story that everyone... Fuck the casuals, Josh. That's what I don't... Look, I'll say it, and if... fuck the casuals. It's Formula One. That is Formula One. Fuck the casuals. I don't get it. I'm not gatekeeping. This is the sport. It's the sport. It's like saying, right, let's just say football has a massive surge. Guys, I've got an amazing idea. We've got all these people who love watching football clips on TikToks. Let's have 23-minute games. Let's do 23-minute football games. Let's do that. No, because it's a stupid idea. It's a stupid idea. But no one's on about that. No one's on about doing that, are they? Because it's stupid. Honestly. Do you get what I mean? No one's doing that because people have been watching Match of the Day even more. People are watching Match of the Day, lots and lots and lots. In case you don't know, Match of the Day is like a football show in the UK with highlights. People have been watching Match of the Day. The games are 9 minutes long on Match of the Day. 9-minute games! 9-minute games! 9-minute games, everyone. Let's have that in football. Boxing. People like watching boxing highlights. On average, they watch about 2.5 rounds. 2.5 round heavyweight boxing championship fights. No, because they're all stupid ideas. But, oh, God, I get so angry. About it. It just angers me so bad. Because everything I've just said is stupid. You'll all say every example you gave there, Rich, is stupid. So why aren't sprint races? Riddle me that. Oh, I like them. For what? Because you want to watch a different sport. This is the sport. Do you know what I mean? I can't help it. And I'm not gatekeeping, just fuck. This is my sport. This is my sport. Don't come into it and then 30 seconds later go, oh, wouldn't it be good if the races were like 10 laps? Wouldn't that be good? No, fuck off. Right. Anyway, shall we... Sorry, I rant so bad. I'm just sick of him. Sick of him doing stupid stuff. Right. Anyway, crashgate. Shall I get stressed out about this one as well? No, I don't. I haven't really got... See, this will show it, really. Right. This is... God damn. Don't make me say. It's like standing in a field all day waiting for a car to go past. Right, this one doesn't really get me angry, particularly, because I don't really have anything in this fight, but it might annoy certain people, I suppose. What's your thought on a separate sprint race category? Go and watch another sport. What for? What's your thoughts on a you've commented. I'll give you the respect. What's your thoughts on a sprint race category with test and reserve drivers only, but adds to the Constructors' Championship? I would say that a category with test and reserve drivers should be called something like Formula 2. That's what I think. Right then, so Crashgate. Crashgate. The headline is, could Lewis Hamilton actually lose Formula One title? Everything we know. So, this goes back to this incident. This goes back to this incident where it was Nelson Piquet Jr. crashed the car on purpose. Now, we some time ago, we reported on Bernie Ecclestone saying about how Felipe Massa had been robbed of his title, and that him and Max Mosley didn't bring things up to do with Crashgate because it would have created a scandal and things like this. Now, look, so basically, the way it all happened, as far as I remember, is Nelson Piquet Jr. basically crashed his car, which played into the strategy perfectly of Fernando Alonso, which meant Fernando Alonso could win. Nothing was ever proven about Fernando Alonso or Renault at large knowing about it. People can have their opinion on it. I'm not bothered about it. It's bloody 15 years ago now. I'm sure this was the 2008 season. Some people think it was a large, all-encompassing team situation. Some think it was a very narrow. Some think it was a very narrow scandal where Nelson Piquet was told to do something by like a member or two of the team, and that's how it worked out. Whatever, it happened. It was proven to happen, whoever was involved, and Fernando Alonso did indeed win. Now, how this impacts Massa is he lost the World Championship by 1 point to Lewis Hamilton in that year, and if memory serves, what happened because of this crash, there was a safety car, and Ferrari messed up his pit stop, which is scarily reminiscent of recent times. I think that's what it is, which caused him to lose some positions and therefore maybe the points to win the world title. Now, my opinion on this is, I think there has to be a part that you have to feel sorry for Massa. I think in certain ways, just as a dude, because he's a nice guy. And honestly, nothing against Lewis Hamilton, but I felt so bad for him. So bad for him. Because it was in Brazil, like when the title moment, it was in Brazil, I'm sure it was. And for about 20 seconds, he, Ferrari, and his dad, I think it was, were all going nuts thinking he was world champion. Then Lewis Hamilton makes a pass on Timo Glock, I think, and becomes world champion. And I feel bad for him. And I felt bad for him then. Now, what can you do at this point? Could he take legal proceedings? Yes. Would he consider doing it? I mean, look, there's so many variables. He's apparently going to do it. That's what I'm reading. That he's actually going to do it. He's going to seek legal information, and he's quoted as saying, "There's a rule that says when a championship is decided, from the moment the driver receives the champion's trophy, things can no longer be changed, even if it's been proven as theft. I intend to study the situation, study what the laws say and the rules. We have to have an idea of what is possible to do. I would never go after it thinking financially. I would go after it thinking about justice. I think if you've been punished for something that wasn't your fault and it's the product of a robbery, a stolen race, justice has to be served. In fact, the right situation is to cancel the result of the race. It's the only justice that can be done in a case like this." And that's what he says, and it is indeed off the back of Ecclestone's comments. Look, I can't disagree with him. I'm not saying he's going to win anything. I'm not going to say he's going to be given the title. I'm not saying Lewis Hamilton should lose his title. But clearly, if he's bothered enough to say those things now, there's something inside about it that still hurts him. You know what I mean? And I don't, if it was me, would I? If it were me, would I? I don't know. It would probably smart. Do you know what I mean? It would. I think on a human level, it would probably still hurt, wouldn't it? If you think about it, he was a corner. He was seconds away from being the world champion. So you can understand that, especially when something is overtly said to have been like a cheating situation, which you can say, well, I'd have got more points in that, if it was me, I'd have just been better. Yeah. So I get it. Would I chase it? No. I feel like I'd make some comments about it, I don't know. What would you do? Because don't think about it as what Massa is doing. What would you do you think? And I'd be torn, I'd be angry, and I could imagine Massa saying these things in an angry way, Well, this is the thing, John. I believe it all worked out for Lewis Hamilton pretty much like it did Alonso, I think, in that particular race. Now, I'm not looking at it as a Massa or a Lewis thing. I'm just thinking, what would I do? I don't know. I'd be angry. I think I could admit I'd be very angry at what Bernie Ecclestone has said. I don't know. I don't know what I'd do, He said, basically, Ecclestone said that he and Max Mosley opted not to overturn the result of an investigation in order to protect the sport from a huge scandal. Which would make you angry, wouldn't it? And, I think it's easy to forget, they're just people as well. So, if the race was cancelled, Lewis would have been robbed. The situation means that someone loses out because of cheat regardless. Sort of, Keith, but, I mean, you're not losing out if you should never have had it anyway. I'm not saying Lewis shouldn't have it or that Massa should take legal proceedings or anything. I would have come back next year determined to win it, but he didn't. He fell apart and was nowhere. Yeah, but that's a different thing, isn't it, Ian? That's a different thing. Regardless, because in this situation, that doesn't matter. I have no idea what Gerard's on about. Anyway, is there any proof? Yes, Josh. Yes. Like, yes. Open and closed, yes. That happened. Also, the FIA being to blame. But, yeah, all I'm saying there, Ian, is whatever happened afterwards, he could have retired at the end of that season. It's still an admission of guilt, isn't it? And culpability in that situation. And it just makes it... It's just a challenging one. If we take you have to take your mind out of it. Out of what you would have done after, what you'd have done before. You've literally gone 15 years and the main man goes, yeah, we covered that up. That's tough, man. That's tough. And I don't know how I'd approach that. I'd be really angry. I'd be really angry. But yeah, we I don't know. There wasn't any rules really implying they had done anything wrong, was there? Only than what we think morally, really, I think. No, no, I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it was a thing, because they did um, I'm pretty sure there was an investigation, and there was never any wider accusation. But PK Junior, I'm almost certain, and I can't remember who from Renault, didn't. I'm sure someone got banned from racing for a certain amount of years. One of the engineers. I'm sure. I'm trying to think. I can't really remember. I don't think it was Flavio. Was it Flavio? I thought someone else as well was literally banned from racing. Was it Pat Simmons? Who was banned as part of Crashgate F1? Was it Pat Simmons? Yeah. Yeah, so at an extraordinary meeting of the World Motorsport Council in Paris, Renault was banned from F1, suspended for 2 years. Simmons was banned for 5 years. Briatore banned indefinitely from any FIA-sanctioned event. Alonso was cleared of any involvement. So the story basically goes that Briatore and Pat Simmons came up with pitting Alonso. Alonso pitted, then they told PK to crash. So that's the story. Whether you believe Alonso was involved or not, that's fine. It's all opinion. He was cleared of any wrongdoing, though, in the resultant thing. It's a difficult one. I think most people agree that Massa's got a right to be mad, but nothing should be changed, and that's pretty much where I'm at. That's pretty much where I'm at with it, if I'm honest. I understand Massa. I'd be angry if some old fool came out and said what Bernie Ecclestone has said. I would be very angry. What? I don't know though. You see though, Ian, I'm not thinking about a Lewis Hamilton thing. Like, you can say he effectively wants to punish Lewis. Maybe he just wants literally justice, not against Lewis Hamilton. I think he's saying these things angry at the likes of Max Mosley and Bernie Ecclestone. I don't honestly feel like it's anything against Lewis from his part, but he's angry about just what they did. And it isn't right, is it? It isn't right. Now, would it have meant that he won the title? Who knows? That's the problem. And that's why nothing can be done, can it? They can't cancel the race result, you know. And that's the problem, you know. That's the problem. I'm just trying to remove Lewis Hamilton from the situation, that's all. Like, because I think it's a very Massa thing. What was it? Singapore 2008 F1 result. Was it that one? Let me have a look. I'm sure it was 2008. Let's have a look at the result. So, yeah, like, like, I think it's the cover up though, Keith. I think that's the point. That they admitted they didn't do anything until Lewis Hamilton had the championship trophy. I think that's the difference now, Keith. The admission of guilt was done on purpose after they had handed the trophy, therefore it was unchallengeable. And I think that's the detail just there. I think, like, you could even, like, the thing is, right, you could almost say, the FIA could almost go back. Well, this is the thing. I'm looking at it now. You could go and have a look at the result, and you could say, you know what? you know what, let's get rid of Alonso out of the result. He's back down to 31 race wins. He didn't win that result. Every other driver gets bumped up one. That means Lewis Hamilton comes second. And that means Massa comes 12th. So there's no points anyway. Cancelling the race, it's a no from me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah. And the only way this works for Massa is to cancel the race, and that's why he said it. So he's obviously thought enough about it to say cancel the race, you know. But there we are. Good conversation this morning. Good. I like this, you know, because people have come in with different things, and we've had a good back and forth about different things. I like that. That's what this is about, you know. On certain things, I know I won't be swayed because it's just how I feel about the sport of F1, about sprint races and stuff. But then when it comes to stuff like this, you guys with different opinions, I like it. As long as it's like a mature back and forth, that's the way. I hate it when you see in certain chats people being overly aggressive or partisan or whatever about different teams and drivers. But it's really good to just be like, well, I think this, Rich, rather than calling me or using a derogatory term against a driver because you don't particularly like, you can say, well, I think this, you know, and it makes these shows a million times better because I've realised I've overrun again. So thank you for your interaction, guys. I always appreciate lots and lots because I really do try hard to make conversation every morning. Just some days it's pretty slow news because it's going to be difficult over the next month, I think, because we haven't got a race for ages, have we? So it's going to be difficult for me to do that, but I'll try and bring you the news Monday to Friday, as per, and see what we can do. Yeah, I agree, Ian. It's a good conversation, and I agree. I'm just saying, I agree. Should be mad. I don't think anything's going to happen, and I don't think it will. But there we are, guys. Please do make sure you've hit the like. And if you are new here and you like your F1 news and you like F1 watch-alongs, please make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. I'm live every Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. with the latest F1 news, and I do watch-alongs for every session, as long as it's not like 1 in the morning and things like that, I do it. So thanks a lot for joining me, guys. I'm going to be live over on Twitch on my Pit Lanes channel very, very shortly. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow. Cheers.